Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Town Hall meeting at the World Crypto Network. It is currently block height 319,125 with a Merkle root of AF2908BC. Hell of a Merkle root there. Sorry it's a bit rushed today. I was kind of in a meeting with David Boville, who we've met before on the show. He's been really good to us. And I met up with him and a friend of his to talk about some of the stuff that we wanted to do relating to our projects as they touch the meat space, actually having some physical presence in the world as well, Crypto Network, rather than just being a YouTube channel all the time. So I look forward to talking about that. So we do host these every week. The reason we host these every week is because we want to keep the energy going. Just because everyone can't make it, it doesn't matter, because guess what? It's all public and it's in the public domain, and so everyone can have a say. It's all very transparent here. If you want to have a say, you can do so down in one of these two corners. It's like a Q&A section you can click on, and you can tell us your thoughts. You can also do so in the comments, although we won't necessarily get them during the show because of the way YouTube works, apparently. So what we're going to do is say hi to our guest first of all. Tom, how you doing, man? You well? Oh, you're muted.
Doing good. Getting rid of the new YouTube. It doesn't bring up the mute button right away. It's one of the new cruelties from Google. So just glad to see they're improving things.
And we got Blake Anderson, who's a cryptographic economist. How you doing, Blake?
Good, great to be here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the conversation.
And we have Jamie Nelson.
Greetings, and Derek J told us the other day that this is our new greeting symbol, I guess. That's like the sign language for B, or...
It's like a gang member tribe or some shit like that.
No, it's American Sign Language for B.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough. I thought it was a bit more gang-like than that. And from Germany, representing the EU, we have Theo.
Guten Abend. Hello.
Hello. And you can tweet me as well at Mr. Chris Ellis below. I've got my phone here where I can get those, so please send in your suggestions or anything you think that we're overlooking. Right, so do we have an agenda? Maybe. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. What was I doing earlier today? Glad you asked. Good question. I was meeting with Chris McCready, who I have invited to this meeting, and hopefully he'll join us in due course. But in case he doesn't, we knocked together a wireframe for the new World Crypto website. Which so Chris has got an agency, a digital agency in Brick Lane, which is a very trendy part of London town in England. And he's got an agency, but he's winding it down. He wants to go into Bitcoin full time, but he's very kindly offered to make us a website for free because he's a big fan of the show and the stuff that we do here, and he wanted to help us out. So we had a long chat. He was very kind in offering me his time, and I had a meeting with his social media person as well, and we kind of talked things over, and we looked through some of the themes that were available in WordPress because we wanted something that everyone could use because it's a distributed autonomous organization. Anyone can be a leader. So we wanted something that anyone could use, but also something we could open source as well. We talked about the fact that as he's coding this website, we'll put this up on the World Crypto Network GitHub so that anyone else, even Paul, hello Paul from CoinScrum, joining us hopefully today on the live stream, even you could use this code and implement it for local projects. So the idea being that you come to the homepage and boom, you've got the live show right there, whatever happens to be on at the time. You've got up here, you've got a ticker that comes from our Twitter account. That way we were thinking that, you know, we could just do all the news through Twitter, all the headline news through Twitter, and then that'll just feed directly into the web page rather than us having to build a separate kind of API for that. And of course, where would we be without the obligatory troll bots, everyone? Like on the right-hand side, we definitely want one of those. Oh, hi, Chris.
Thanks. Oh, hi there.
I'm just taking everyone through what we said.
Yeah, I can see.
Today,
cool.
And so one of the things that Chris brought up in the meeting was this idea of progressive registration. So rather than pestering people for sign-ups and all this stuff, like what we do is we say, look, you know, you can subscribe if you want to. If you don't like it, that's cool. You know, that's cool as well. That's fine. But if you like it, you can subscribe, and then maybe if we notice that you subscribe, we ask you like, hey, do you want to get involved? Like, you know, So we've also got a call to action down here. This is just a wireframe, so we haven't populated this with any meaningful information yet. But we really want to emphasize this is all about action. We don't want our audience to be passive observers. We don't want people just to sit back, with their TV dinner and just kind of, chomping away. Like, we actually want people to get involved. Like, ultimately, we want you to be a journalist on this channel too, so that you can kind of represent. So we kind of want to nudge people without being, obviously authoritarian, because we're all very anarchist here. And then down your bottom, you basically got what you usually get with a lot of video sites, which is just, recommendations for things you can search. You got like a dynamic filter here. And this isn't actually supposed to say watch again. It's supposed to be like an about section. And so that sort of tells people what about. And then at the bottom, we've got a footer. So that's basically the sort of the crux of it, and then this is kind of going to be the rest of the website. Every person, every host is going to have their own profile. We're also going to have a page for a network schedule, so basically people can know, Chris Before Coffee is at 4 p.m. Or so 3 p.m. UTC every Wednesday, and Mad Bitcoins is every morning during the week, and so on. And then also, this was an issue as well, like project page, where we've come up with the idea before of like, could we crowdfund someone like, the Ferguson journalists? Well, Chris is saying that we should probably do this on an external website, but until we have, something a bit more tangible, we should probably just have a page where, let's say we want to do a fundraiser, we can just put up like a multi-signature wallet that a few of us co-host, and then probably a page for a mission statement, which could be integrated into any of these. It depends how kind of passionate we feel. So that's sort of where we are. That's what Chris and I sort of did today. Have I missed anything, Chris?
No, that pretty much covers it. This is, to add to it, I see this as the bare minimum, the basics. This is the MVP. This is just to get something, because there's nothing there just now. And then, yeah, as we talked about, we have potentially bigger plans to do this to a bigger scale. But this will get us out the bag. This will get us out the door, which is important.
Yeah, I really like the wireframe, and it's really important to get good pseudocode and good wireframes out to start a project. So I really like the start that you guys have.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think it's basically about getting something shipped straight away, or not straight away, but fairly soon, so that, because everyone's been saying, well, how do I get involved? Because you keep talking about it, and at the moment it's just like, well, tweet me, or go to the subreddit, which is fine.
Yeah, I've been giving out World Crypto Network for the website too, like we have in our nameplates, and right now there's not a lot there. There's enough there though to get people connected with us, so that is helpful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there was the discussion with my business partner about the logo, whether we want to design that or not. I don't know what you guys think.
So yeah, we probably need a new logo. Tom, how do you feel about that? You're the designer of the incumbent logo, so I thought I'd bring it up.
No, I didn't do this one. This was Bruno from Portugal did this one. I like it. I think it's plain and simple. If we do a new one, I think we should do one like that, where it's just got the globe and it's plain and simple. It's like CNN. Like, I don't know. I like the simplicity of it.
Yeah, we don't have to change the simplicity, but there's certain things that people expect to see in a logo. You can tell the difference. I'm not saying it's a bad logo. It's just not had a quality designer's touch just to finish it off. Just font allocation, positioning, that kind of thing, sizing, just the thing that a quality designer would do. So I'm not saying we redesign it, we make it radically different. We just iterate on it, see if we can make it a little bit more attractive, a little bit more professional.
Well, I'm up for seeing variations.
Yeah,
the most important thing I would suggest is that we should be taken seriously. Like, I want people to look at what we've got and say, yeah, okay, I'm not, I'm going to take these guys seriously, because remember, we're going to be representing all kinds of people all over the world that are coming forward and saying, maybe we can, establish a platform on your network. So.
And remember, a logo performs more than just the top left of a website. It forms your email signatures, your stationery, all your communication. So it needs to be able to morph itself into several different things. That has to be taken into account as well. It's more than just a thing that sits top left. It is your identity. When you guys aren't speaking, that's the only thing that that sells you. So it's worth getting some variations. If we don't like them, we don't use them, you know?
Then, yeah, let's get some other suggestions. Tom's brought up something there.
This was the first one we had, which is just a globe with the WCN, and then this is the second one we had that Bruno did. So, yeah, there is room to change it and just put something else together. I think something along these lines, you know, WCN with a globe.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm the world's worst designer, so I wouldn't do it, but I have designers who'll have a go at it. And if you don't like it, we don't use it, you know? It's that simple.
It won't cost us anything, will it, Chris?
No.
To see it.
We should make it like the Stratton Oakmont, like a lion symbol, like in the Wolf of Wall Street, so we have lots of pseudo credibility.
Yeah,
like the Universal movie logo.
Yeah, I like these sort of parodies. I think it would be good to try out something like that. It'd be good.
But yeah, I know what Chris is saying, because you know that's what I've been trying to do too. Is rather than promote one individual person, is promote just WCN or World Crypto Network. Like when you see my Bitcoin Rush video that's going to be coming out later today or tomorrow, I didn't say my name, or actually I think I did introduce myself, but I was like, the World Crypto Network is individuals helping each other share information to, you know, build upon each other and something to that effect.
There is no I, there is only we.
Oh, it's collectivist. Collectivist.
No, I was very clear that it was individuals.
I think it's good to just have someone make, you know, 2 or 3 different logos, and we can just look at them and decide. We could also say we don't like the new one. It doesn't hurt. Just, you know, I think that's a really good idea, just to see what kind of ideas someone else has.
We should contact Davi, because Davi's really, really creative too. If we think that he would be helpful.
Open this up to the audience watching now. If you're watching now and you're a graphic artist, you want to take a shot at this, you know what we're generally talking about here. You could put something together.
Maybe Bitcoin Rat. Maybe the Rat could do it. He's watching.
I'm gonna make one right now. Just hold on.
Yeah, this could be interesting.
I'm gonna go back and load up kid pics and just make a righteous logo.
So this is the I think Chris, this is the template that we were looking at, wasn't it?
Just the one we chose. Yeah, this was the one.
YouTube. So that's kind of cool. It's nice and slick, you know.
So I would still like to give this to my designer just to change the color schemes. I'm not ecstatic with the color schemes, and it's a little too busy. Yeah. But as I said, if it gets us 80% of the way there, it's good. It saves us a lot of time and saves us a lot of money, which is important. But yeah, so I would still like them to have a look at this. What we tend to do with sites, we start here because it's responsive. It's got all that good stuff that takes the time, and then we just get our designers just to polish it. So I like a more clean look to our website. But this has got everything we need. It's got every element we need. It just needs a little finesse, I think.
Yeah. Do you think that we're overcomplicating it with the troll box, anyone?
No, I think you want to have enough features. I mean, yeah, you don't want to have it too busy. You want to have a clear call to action and a good landing page. But the troll box has kind of become a really good way to interact with different stuff. I think you definitely want to keep that.
We can always A/B test it, remove it for some users, add it for others, see what the response is like.
He's getting sophisticated now. He's going to be like A/B testing.
Whew. Oh, yeah. All those good stuff. Good analytics. We'll do everything. Yeah. Did you mention the ability to broadcast yourself? I don't see it. Is that what that join became? So we're talking about, that's one of your biggest things that you've got.
Well, the join is like join the revolution. You know, revolution is going to be decentralized, and you want to be on the front line, reporting live, you know, to us. And what I suppose the value that we're offering the market is we're building a credibility for you. We're building a reputation, and we're going to be a curation space. We're going to be selecting people not based on their appearances and whether they look the right way or they know the right people. It's going to be like, are you close to the situation, and do you have a good opinion about it or not? You know. Can you speak intelligently on this matter or not? And we just assume that everyone's on the front line. We don't assume like you're a passive audience member. We assume like you're an active participant in the world event.
Mm. Okay.
So yeah, I think it's I like the fact that you can join. I like your idea of the progressive join up, so that it's not, you're either just sitting back and consuming, or
it's slightly different. I've been thinking about this since we spoke. It's progressive registration leading to donation stroke subscription. So it's an extra step. It's kind of an interesting one. I've never done it before. Took a registration all the way through to a donation. So it's going to be a subtle thing to work out. But if we do it right, it could be quite effective. We should
make
sorry?
We should make like a pop-up like every 5 seconds in the video until you register. People really appreciate stuff like that. They like it a lot.
Yeah. Charge them more for using IE6.
That's a good idea.
There's an Australian e-commerce company that does that. They literally add $10 to your bill at checkout if you use below IE9.
That's brilliant. Oh, that's well deserved,
I got a tweet from the Pi Rebel. He was laughing at our jabs at collectivism.
Oh, hang on. Look, everyone. Theo's working away. He's in MS Paint. He's in MS Paint doing our logo.
Yeah, I'm a purist.
You like rotated
Check it out. I got this cool minimal logo going on. You don't even see that it's really letters. See, it's got this kind of digital thing going on.
You should get a job at Saatchi's. You could get paid a fortune for this shit.
This is great. That would be a cool T-shirt. It looks kind of trendy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's art, man.
I'm gonna buy 2 of them.
Right.
Right. So there was a lot of chat on the Podio as well. What were people chatting about? Anything related to the website before I go off into other matters? Jamie's saying hosting profiles, having people. Okay, so you're saying like we should just call people?
Yeah, rather than differentiating host from off-air, behind-the-scenes people and hosts and all of that. Everybody's equal value on the network, so we don't have, different ranks.
Yeah, no, I like that.
How am I going to subjugate people without arbitrary authority? This whole thing is not going the way I wanted.
Yeah, I know. I was just hoping that I could just be a dictator in this whole thing.
Yeah, and I mentioned being a dictator now, 2 steps down. And see, I'm slowly working my way into this whole dictator role.
Well, I like the way we roll. I like the fact that we can play around with these themes and we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's like, Chris is going to be tyrannizing you today and Derek's going to be ruling over you tomorrow. I like the fact that basically everyone's a dictator now. It's just a question of time. The problem with the kings before was they devoured. They outstayed their welcome. They stayed too long, but now everyone gets to be the king, which is just another way of saying nobody is. So I like it. Yeah, we should definitely have, like, Anna should definitely be respected, because even though she doesn't do a lot of stuff on air, she does a lot of stuff off air, and so she deserves to get credit and also paid for that, Like, we want this to be a not-for-loss organization where everyone gets paid their dues for the contributions they make.
Well,
we're joined by Dustin.
Hey, Dustin.
Hey, Dustin. I think we should focus on having a good donation page. Not only just a QR code on the front page, but having a donation page that explains maybe some of the grander ideas you've been talking about. Maybe write something that, like, I don't know, if there was a venture capitalist person and they wanted to give us like a large sum of money that we could split up and actually pay people and we wouldn't go broke. Like, we would say, what would that person want to see? So maybe we should give them whatever they would want to see.
And if you're a venture capitalist and you're watching this right now and you're thinking, yeah, I could just donate to that QR code right up there. You should do that. You should absolutely do that and not exercise any editorial control whatsoever.
To get that, we need more like a soft-core pornography and like more pop-ups that constantly remind you to donate.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this already, but we decided that people would rather pay us than not do that.
See, well, like Patrick Bryan now, from Overstock, is giving part of their Bitcoin to, what is it, the
stupid lobby group. Overstock donated to the stupid lobby group.
Well, exactly what Theo said, but without the stupid. But yeah, we need them to donate to the Stupid World Crypto Network.
Right. That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that story.
Well, that's what I think of too. But I mean, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know what she did that's different than what we do. But
Let's do some leveling here. What are we talking about? What's going on?
Perry Ann Boring, who was a aide for several senators and connected to the DC people,
Yeah, I know Perry Ann.
started an organization called the CDC, terrible name, Center for Digital Commerce, not Center for Disease Control. Obvious confusion.
And with Ebola, that's a really good
Chamber. I thought it's called
right
the Chamber of Digital Commerce, I think.
Other than the name, I'm sure it's going to be fine. They're kind of like, I mean, libertarian-wise, they're kind of more pro-regulation. But, you know, it's fine. And they've apparently raised a whole bunch of money from Patrick Byrne. So there's apparently more money out there from Overstock.com. So maybe we should find out what kind of softcore pornography he likes.
I think, yeah, that Patrick Byrne and Overstock.com are taking like 3% of their total profits, not just their Bitcoin profits, but of all their profits, and reinvesting in development. I know they have like the Crypto Securities Project right now working with Counterparty to try to reinvent the stock market because the whole thing is just disgusting shit show. And Patrick actually railed against naked shorting to the extent that people at his company were like telling him to stop, but he wouldn't. And eventually they all had to come back and apologize because the government eventually was like, well, it wasn't happening, but all this slop was happening. And then they had to come back and grandfather all the slop in because there was so much, which was basically an admission that he was right. So.
Right. Okay, everyone. Look, I've got to remind everyone that we are at block height 319,129, and we're not getting anywhere talking about Overstock. So.
One point here.
Go on.
I wasn't going to say this, but it kind of is like the avenue we're going down. So, as an idea, I spoke to my business partners today, and they agreed. In my other life, my money-making life, where I make my money, we have a e-commerce product, and it has a referral fee of 0.1% if someone refers you. Now, if it's a direct sale or something else, we don't. That referral fee goes big and doesn't go to anyone. Does that make sense? So if it's a direct sale or they've come directly to us, there's no one to get that 0.1 referral fee.
Right.
That's just a thing that then exists. So we as a company are going to take all those 0.1%, put them in a pot and divvy them up to worthwhile charities via Bitcoin, via cryptos. And we've decided that WCN are going to be one of the first beneficiaries of that.
Rock on.
So that's is,
awesome.
Like you were saying, Tom, that's one of the ways that you could approach business and say, well, yeah, because the internet's built on referrals. You could say, well, there's accounts out there where referrals go missing. No one's claiming it. Can we have that, please? They're not, the fact that money into their spreadsheets and their finances anyway, it's just free money for them.
Well, Marco on Twitter's got a great idea. He says a small ganja farm would fund the show and we'll all get high. Worth the thought? It's a professional meeting, this. I like the fact that we can all be very mature about it.
Yeah, but there's a ton of money in lost referrals out there, and we can go for it. This will be a blueprint to do a case study to go after other companies to go, can we have that same money, please? That's unaccounted for right now and on your books.
Yeah, that's true. I like what Jamie's saying on the thread. He says, and we should do this more. If I were the dictator of the network, I would have one multi-sig donation address for the entire network that everyone would use when broadcasting under the WCN banner or each show, and then divide up donations on a regular schedule based on the contribution that the person made to the network over the time period. Then there's Dustin's WCN coin idea plus many more. So I'm a big fan of separating out, and I'm open. Like, let's hear what everyone thinks. I'm a big fan of having both and both of those situations. So I still want to be responsible for my own fundraising, but if audience members want to, they can donate to the network as a whole, so that we don't get confusion as to, well, like, how much have you contributed or whatever, because how would we account for what everyone's doing? It's difficult to measure, isn't it?
No, you can get it from the YouTube API. You can get the channels that the person subscribed to and what they've watched in that channel. So you can easily figure out who was the most popular broadcaster on a weekly or monthly basis and divvy it up that way. That's perfectly feasible.
But I think that what we were talking about is some people work behind the scenes too.
Yeah, there's more to it than that.
Like production or ideas or all that stuff, but they couldn't go on the show, so it's kind of difficult, I think.
So Jamie, tell me about how would we still raise our own money with our QR codes up in the corner, or and would it be like 2 addresses, or how would it work?
No, for my idea, what I was thinking was we would just have one QR code for each show, or one QR code for the entire network, and then every week or every month or however often it was decided, the money would get divvied up based on, you know, like if you go to a job, you put in a timesheet or whatever to show how much you've worked or what you've put into the company to get back your pay.
Mm-hmm.
Where the model that I had in my head was thinking that, you know, well, we would put in, you know, well, we did, you know, you'd been talking about this a lot, was putting an account of your hours that you had and what you had done on GitHub and stuff.
Yeah.
And making a log of that. And that's kind of what I had been thinking of was, you know, if people kept track of what they actually did that was for the network, they could have a base of account to say, okay, this was the work I did for the network. I did this much. You put in that. I put in this. Tom put in this. Anna put in this.
Yeah, would we still raise our own money though? Do you see us still having our QR codes up in the corner?
For that model, no.
So there'd just be one address, and then everyone would get a share of that based on how much time they put in or something.
Yeah, and I think that for that model, it would be hard to do it and keep people from getting hurt feelings and stuff by each raising your own besides.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say you couldn't do work outside, but you know, this is just something I just thought up off the top of my head.
That's interesting. So you're saying, this is something I think we should get the audience's feedback on, because I want to make sure that the audience, from my point of view, is making sure their money is going where they want it to go. So I can actually see a situation, and I want to hear what other people think, like where we could do both of these things, where we say to the audience, look, you've got a choice. If you like what that host is doing, because some people are going to give more than others, and I think it could get awkward if we start dividing up our time too literally, and we start, you know, saying, well, you know, did you give an extra hour, and how much is that?
Yeah, it has to be much simpler than that.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I like the idea of
everyone have their own
global
QR
kitty.
code?
I like the idea of having a global kitty, because actually I'd probably say I wouldn't even want that. I'd just be happy with whatever subscriptions I could get, and then like Anna could have more, because sometimes that kind of work that Anna's doing isn't necessarily taxing, but it requires a certain energy and a gumption that I really appreciate, but she probably thinks is fairly like normal. She's just being herself.
Yeah, and you know, this reminds me of something that waitresses go through a lot when they switch restaurants, because some restaurants, each waitress just gets to keep the tips that they get at the table, and some restaurants take the tips off the check and then divvy them all up. And I know several waitresses that have liked it and have had it both ways, and most of them tend to like it the way we have it now, where everybody collects their own. And that's because the lazy bastards end up just sucking the tit of the people that aren't, you know, it's just ends up being unfair wealth distribution.
Yeah, I mean, I see that maybe happening too, because the less that we decentralize and the more that we centralize, I mean, like a zero rate is pretty centralized, but we're not computers, so sometimes there's that natural tendency to, have animosity created by people feeling like, somebody did all this research, then somebody just read it on camera for a few minutes, and then they got all the money. And so I don't know. I think that if I had to put my say in, I would say that the independent QR codes are good, but I would also like to see maybe some kind of a virtual multi-sig trust account for the network that can have money as well for maybe incidentals or other things. We're having fun.
I like it. He's got. See, he's had some say over it. Theo, what do you think?
I think that you could just give it all to me, and then I'll divvy it out how I think is a good idea.
That's a great idea.
No, I think that I kind of like the dual system. I mean, we could just promote the big pot more. For example, just remind people, hey, you can also, this is the, those like little promo clips we've been making? We could do one that like really is about promoting to the general pot, the big offerings pot for VCN, I mean, it could have like a little like church offering plate, where you put your coins in or whatever, and just to remind people again. I mean, now we all have our individual ones, and, I guess that's going all right. And now we can also kind of bring back the just advertising the general one too. But I think it's, or we can just see what the audience thinks. But I mean, I think it just gives the audience a lot more choice and freedom to choose how they want to. Then the audience can divvy it out how they want. You know what I mean? And then I mean, how do you? It's so hard to. I can't figure out how you can. It would be a lot of work to like record all the minutes I'm doing something. I guess I could do that. I could do like record my screen, or I don't know what.
Some people's time is worth more than others.
Yeah, I mean that gets all complicated. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how to do that in a fair way. So I think that just.
What does Tom think? Tom said.
Well, I think the current system's working good, so I would stick with that. Ideas I had on expanding the current system, we should have a central place where you could say, here's Tom's Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, here's Chris's Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Litecoin, so a nice grid. In the same way, I was thinking we should do title cards at the end, and again, this is a graphic design issue, so if someone wants to do a better graphic than I can do, we'll use yours. But, make a template, donate to this show, and then have the Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, whatever we're going to go with, the big currencies. And then that's the individual tips, and that's kind of aiming at the small person. So if you're going to give $1 or $2, you should go there. With the World Crypto Network, with the multi-sig account, with the donate page, I think we should be going for these whales. We should be describing to the venture capitalists what they want to see. And if someone wants to give us like a grant or a foundation, that would go to the network. It would be managed. It would go through, maybe every show gets $10. It's not great, but you get $10 a month. It's cool, that kind of thing. Whereas if you get individual donations, if you want to kick some upstairs, you could always kick it upstairs. If you feel 10% is fair, whatever you feel is fair, it's your money. And that also gets us out of the management problem, and it gets us out of the measurement problem.
Some of this comes down to how much we trust the audience to use their own sense of judgment, doesn't it? Because sometimes, I think what Jamie's getting at here is sometimes people that work behind the scenes don't get the credit. So the question is, can we make sure that people like Anna are represented for the work they do, even if they're not front of house?
Well, then maybe we just need to get some kind of like behind the scenes QR code, and we just have to remind, or I don't know. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, like.
Can I jump in here with a suggestion?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So we're missing a trick. Remember, this is programmable money. So all of you guys can have your own QR codes. Usually the front-end talent, usually the guys who are doing this for a living, and you need to make the money. You need to survive, eat, and pay your rent, stock, mortgages. So you can use your own QR code, but it's programmable money. You can have an address just when you're on the WCN, and we can set it up to extract a set amount of that as admin fee, and that can go to everyone else who contributes to it, who the public don't see. So the public are donating to the people they like, which is important. I think that's really important that you're talent-led. Because that's the way the internet's going with the subscriptions and the broadcasting. It's you like someone, you're going to give that person money directly, because you can now for the first time. But it's very important that the people that you're standing on their shoulders, it's very important that these people get their cut as well. And it's programmable money, so we take that money, the end user pays directly to you, some money's taken out of you automatically, put into the the WCN account, and that's divvied up for everyone else.
Okay, so it's like what we'd have to do in that case is we'd have to have multi-signature wallets for each of us, and then there'd be a 2 of 3, and then the network would have 2 of those, I guess, and I would have 1. Because how would you extract the money from the wallet automatically?
I'll have to look into that. There are ways to do it that I've read about, but I haven't really done it or seen it done. But there are ways to do it.
The simpler way of doing that is just make each host pay a small fee for hosting on the network. That's how the traditional model would do it. It would just say, right, you pay a small fee, but then you're turning more into an agency, aren't you? Then you're sort of becoming like an.
I think it eliminates admin and it makes sure everyone gets at least a cut. Now, you could do it the way Bitcoin does it. You could charge a fee, but choose to waive that fee. If you really want all the money for yourself, then you don't pay the fee.
Okay, right.
If you want to give a little bit more, you pay a higher fee, such as to expedite it like you do at the moment. You can do that and keep it fair, but I think it's right. Some of it has to get back in to be divvied up to the other people. And I also think I commented on that podio. I think it's really important that someone like me, I'm not in this for money to be gained. If I was to charge you guys for what I did, my board members would shoot me as soon as it showed up on the spreadsheet of how much I would charge. It's how much we charge for a website, I could never charge you guys what I charge, so the best way to do it is to charge nothing and hide it. That makes sense.
Well, you're on the public air at the moment.
Yeah, I'm saying it's
job on hiding it.
Very smart move, me. But yeah, so what I'm saying is the money that comes out of this, I would never want it. So I would need a feature that says anything that was due for me, give that back to someone else. Now, if I can choose to give it to or put it back into a public pool, which is then distributed, that would be nice for me because, yeah, so if someone said, hey, you've done good work, Chris, here's a Bitcoin, I would just put it straight back in to make sure that people who are trying to do this for their living can do it for their living, and everyone else gets compensated.
Yeah, well, we've had a suggestion from James Richens, who's saying that he thinks Theo's idea for Treasure is probably the best idea. So I think that's it, isn't it, really?
Will Pangman, what's going on, buddy?
I just think we should automate it wherever we can. It's programmable money. Let's make it programmable.
Also, we've had, I don't know what this is, but let's see. I think this is relevant to what you're saying, Chris. Coin splits. This was a suggestion from OpB.
I don't see my name instantly on the landing page, so I disapprove.
Right, yeah, obviously. But we've got a David.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, you've got stuff like that. I think this is really
That's exactly what you need.
That's good. Good suggestion, thank you. Yeah, no, I like this, and I like where Jamie's coming from, and I definitely want to be all about helping the people that are pulling, doing all the work behind the scenes, don't necessarily get the credit because they're usually the people that are worst at asking for money as well.
I think it has to be based on need as well. Who needs the money has to pay a factor, which certainly has never paid a factor before. The guys who get the big bonuses in banks don't need them, but they still get them.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas the secretaries' bonuses, that was the first thing it was cut when the banking problem hit. They didn't get the bonuses, So there's got to be a factor of need, even though that's a terrible word. It has to be factored into it at some point, at some level.
Yeah, banking hardships, fire the janitor. Everybody gets their bonuses, fire all the janitors.
It's also Hyperledger, but I'm not sure what Hyperledger is. I wasn't able to. Let me just pull it up. Not able to work out what that is, but thank you, OpB, for suggesting that as well, which I'll take a look at after the show, and I guess you guys can as well.
So we have a dividend system in our company. Oh, sorry, go on.
My idea, too, was after Chris had put that on Podio, was I'm like, well, I'm going to just throw something out there, too, and I want to just kind of get the ideas flowing because, topics like this are a difficult thing to discuss. And absolutely. These are the things that, if they're not discussed, a lot of times get hid or pushed to the back, and then people end up getting pissed off over them. And these are the things that tear organizations and friendships apart because they aren't properly taken care of in the beginning.
This is why software has to do it, not people. Because once we give the software the rules, it's just obeying those rules, and it's the rules that everyone sets up. And to change them, you vote on the change. That's why once it's decided, however we decide, software has to control it at that point. If we've learned anything from Bitcoin, we've learned that.
Yeah, take a page from like DAX or decentralized autonomous organizations or companies and just have it so that the code is a certain way. Figure that out before the fights break out or before there's animosity, because there actually is money coming in, and that's how you avoid heartache. I totally agree.
Yeah, but that's the main thing, is how do we divide it up though? I think that's the main the thing that's a little tricky. You know what I mean? I mean, you could do it in
magic
real
software, and for now, then we'll figure that out.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I think we could do it in a real simple way where, you know, like some of it goes, or it could be, let's say it was 50-50, for example, and 50 of it would go to if it was like sent to a person's QR code, then 50 of it, or 75% would go to the person, and then the 25 would go then to the general fund, or whatever number we think, and that would just be a real general way to split it up.
Yeah. However we figure that out, I'm all for that. But once those rules are set up, they have to be programmed into something, and it's the software that then deals with it from that point. But you're right. Once we decide who gets what and how that's split up, we then make that and then code it straight into the blockchain, and that's how it does until everyone votes that it has to be done in a different way.
I think the most important thing for me is we all stay friends. So I like the idea that, you know, if we've got multi-sig wallets, it's not going to be a centralized decision in any case. So then the main decision is going to be, well, how much accountability do we want, and how much decentralization do we want? Because I think if enough of us are mature enough and like we're together in a group, enough of us are going to say, like, somebody help Hannah out. Do you know what I mean? Like, what does justice look like when someone has pulled, you know, an all-nighter and has done loads of stuff, you know? I think we can just use our common sense so long as we...
I disagree massively. I imagine a million companies started that way and they all ended up evil. I don't think you can.
Well, I tend to agree a little bit too, because even before we were talking about helping to give people donations that are working behind the scenes, I think about myself, and if I'm really honest with it, I don't think that I would ever do that. Not because I don't think they deserve money, but just because, like, you know, your ADHD like runs away with you, or you see somebody that is like funny or that that makes a good point, and then it's really, really hard to catch yourself and remind yourself to make sure that the behind-the-scenes donation address gets money too.
Absolutely.
So you're agreeing with Chris? Blake?
Yeah, I pretty strongly agree with Chris on this, and that it's really important to get it kind of fleshed out beforehand. And sometimes people feel ridiculous doing that. They're like, well, why are we fleshing all this stuff out when there's no money coming in yet? But like, that's the time to do it, and I really agree with Chris.
Get the humans to make the decisions, and then get the computers to execute them, because that's the bit that humans do really badly.
It's a brilliant quote.
I've had a lot of things that got tore apart too because the stuff wasn't taken care of ahead of time, and I think, yeah, like Chris said too, with Bitcoin, it's the code that does the dirty work for divvying it up. Let's just use that example.
I'm just making a timestamp in the, because otherwise we never get around to it. Okay, that's very good. And also Anna is saying on the thread that she agrees with you, Jamie, about changing the hosts to, you know, just whatever job they happen to be doing. Change host and members. And then Chris is saying that he agrees with John. What did John say? So John is saying, yeah, that he doesn't necessarily want to, he doesn't need money, but he'd rather it went to other people. So yeah, we've talked about this, the idea that you can give, you know, you can say, look, I don't need anything from the central kitty. Chris, you're saying that you agree. I cannot speak for anyone else. Yeah, that's fine. And then, were there any other points? So these are all the points for the website, I guess, and like how we're going to showcase one another. You know, how we're going to like make sure that we can drive funding. So yeah, you know what? Let's make sure we flesh this out, because this has come up before and we never really did this when Tom was bringing this up. Is like we do need to obviously look at the money situation. And I guess like we're all, you know, been into Bitcoin about the same time, so we're probably all feeling the pinch right now. So are there any other ideas for, you know, raising money for our shows other than what we've already talked about, you know, just saying it more?
I think Tom's right. Be audacious. Go after some bureaucracy.
Yeah.
Aim for a stratosphere.
Yeah, so why doesn't someone that's good at it make a like a pitch page? I mean, if we're going to target these whales, then there needs to be like a page like you were already talking about that's really like a kind of pitch and shows the value that the company or the VC or whoever gets from when they donate, and that can be like the targeting page for the whales. You know, so we need a landing page that's just for the whale donations. If it's leftover affiliate money or if it's just a donation or whatever, that doesn't really matter. But it's kind of geared towards that.
So maybe like an ultra soft meta ROI, or return on investment. Like if you invest with this different stuff here and it drives the price of Bitcoin up because more people are understanding of what's happening, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it's going to help drive adoption and things like this. And if your company buys or is trading with Bitcoin and holds it, then you can eventually figure out how those returns are going to calculate. I think that's a pretty good idea, Theo. And if anybody wanted to put that up and we could kind of go through what it should say and shouldn't say, I think that might be a productive exercise.
Well, you can use us as a case study if you want with our 0.1 referral fee. You can use that as the first company to sponsor you guys if you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that'd be really cool. And also, we want to make sure that if we do get funding from a VC, what's the value proposition? Because obviously we don't want to be controlled editorially. We don't want to be like a propaganda type.
Open ourselves up for capture as soon as possible.
Well, I mean, that can be really explicit on there too. I mean, in a way that we're not going to promote their product or whatever. I mean, we could say maybe they could have their logo on that page, that they were some of the first ones, but we're not going to recommend. I mean, we could also discuss internally if we want to accept them, because what if it's like a kind of scammy company? We'd have to decide if that's okay or whatever. We already talked about advertising. If it's we shouldn't advertise for stuff that we wouldn't use and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
get money from Monsanto and then promise not to tell anybody that glyphosate is really, really bad for you. Yeah. I probably not want to do that.
Companies that do this really well, the Apache Foundation does it really well. Let's see how they do it. Let's see if there's anything from that.
Yeah, let's not reinvent the wheel. I think that's a good thing too. Chris is full of good ideas, and I guess he works in the space, so that makes sense. But
yeah. I mean, that's it. There's a bunch of them. Firefox, Mozilla, they're another one. They're extremely well funded. Let's see how they do it.
Well, and we could even make a list of the people that we're targeting, who we're looking at here, what they're into, why they would be into what we're into, and basically they just need to know about us, see this webpage, and make the decision they want to donate like a large amount. Then, like you guys are saying, we do need to flesh out some kind of framework. What would we do with this large amount? How much would we save? How much would we give out to people? What percentages we would choose? How? And I'm not sure what the answer is to that, but I agree with the people that say we need to work that out.
That's a good problem to have, but yeah, I agree.
And Marco on Twitter is saying that I would prefer donations to subscriptions and would donate to the shows I watch rather than the network or the individuals. So that's Marco's opinion. Thank you very much, Marco. I'll make a log of that.
Seems like a desire for decentralization, a desire for the most kind of decentral thing. I think that's really the vein in which that desire is expressed. Right. I agree.
I'm watching Blake's kid get dizzy in the background. But we also have comments on Twitter from Roger Moore, who is James Bond. And he says that one for each caster sounds good, and hello, Town Hall. So hello, Roger Moore.
Yeah, of course, the most important participant of this meeting, of course, is you at home, and you can take part by clicking either, I don't know which corner it is because I can't tell because my screen's back to front, the Q&A, and you can take part in this discussion. All the Q&As that you raise will be permanent with this video as well, so that will be logged for anyone else coming to it later on. So please have your voice heard. Don't get left out. So, have we finished talking about the money, or does anybody have anything else to add?
I've got something to add.
Oh, Dustin, hello. Yes, please do.
Mostly you guys said everything that I think you needed to say. totally. You covered everything. That was really good. But like, as one of the viewers, I thought I should kick in and say I'm watching some other shows on YouTube that are individual hosts who are trying to do what you guys are doing, and I think they should join the network. I just thought that I should mention, while you're building the incentive structure, you should consider, as you gathered new hosts, some of them are going to be extremely popular, and they'll bring in a lot of viewers with them. And if your incentive structure is built well enough, then they'll join naturally, and some of them might be more successful than any of your current shows, just because they bring in more viewers.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to make sure everyone had thought about that, because while you're all thinking about the works that you do, you have to be ready to accept people who are adding a tremendous amount of value to the network. And your structure needs to accommodate people. Like, what if you added a YouTube show, just one guy, and he's got a YouTube show? I can think of one on the top of my head. And he's got as large of a fan base in total as all of you guys do. I don't think he collects any donations, though. If he joins and your fan base doubles, simply on the basis of all of his people migrating over, they're going to try to use the incentive structure that you guys have built. And is he going to receive an equivalent reward if he adds his show to the network? Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So what if PewDiePie joined with his 30 million subscribers? You know, that would just be the biggest guy on YouTube. What if he decided, what would you do if that happened? That's a really good question.
I agree.
Take a holiday?
I think that I agree with that, and then the opposite side of that paradigm is that if we have a zero-sum funding game and then it starts to make it so that we limit other people coming in because we don't want to share, that might be something to be concerned about too. I think that both sides of that gradient should be maybe considered. I don't have any solutions, but that occurred to me.
I just do
Justin was going over
answers to that one.
My plan has always been that we were going to get the smaller people. That we have about 2,000 subscribers, and if you have 0 subscribers, you're looking for a place to go. Maybe you'd come to us, and then maybe you'd stay with us because we're like fair and above the board, and really honest about stuff. So I don't know what we would do with the larger people if we got like David Seaman or I thought of somebody. Oh, Brave the World, Julia Transky, or any of these other people. If they wanted to do shows or join us, I don't know how we would properly compensate them and how you would work that out.
Well, I like what you're saying, Dustin. It sounds like you're talking about getting someone on the way up in their career. I guess for me it would just be important to make sure there's a value for value exchange. If they believe what we're trying to do and we like what they're saying, then I think I can see how that's going to work. Tony on Twitter also says that Dustin gets it. So it sounds like you've got some support from Tony as well. So maybe what we should do then is, just as a suggestion, why don't we reach out to someone and see if they're interested?
Guys, I think we have a cool opportunity here. I'm all for bringing in awesome talent. I'm all for keeping the barrier to entry low and very inclusive kind of ethic in our group. It's going to do nothing but good things, and it's also true to Bitcoin's core philosophy. But I wonder if we have an opportunity here to there's some of these tipping apps that are trying to help out different content creating sites like Twitter and YouTube. Not just Bitcoin tipping apps either, but there's other regular payments sort of things in the works too. And I'm wondering if we can't fix all of the problems that all of these things are having with
Uh-oh.
Now that was dramatic. Very dramatic.
We can fix it with really bad internet connections.
Say again, Will. You broke up there.
So, I'm sorry, guys, if the connection's bad. Let me try again I'm going to plug the computer in. But, not Twitter, Facebook, and monetization and tipping, even with the Bitcoin app. So what if we could fix some of the, instead of trying to engineer something completely original, let's reverse engineer all the problems with the YouTube monetization techniques that are in place now, like the way the ads payouts work, and let's do it right, and let's just stick that kind of a framework as our compensation, fundraising, and incentive structure. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Is that connection any better? I apologize.
Yeah, your video isn't great, but it's okay. We can hear you, which is the most important thing.
But I think it goes back to what we said. The host of the show gets the money sent directly to them, and then a percentage of that is taken back for WCN. Then so it doesn't matter how big you are, you still get all the money. So if you've got 10 million subscribers opposed to someone who's got 10, you get a lot more donations, and then you just give a fair percentage of that back to WCN. Then it doesn't matter how little or how much you bring in. You're fair. You're paying the fair amount back to the network.
And is that just going to be a flat fee, do you think?
I don't know. We have to just sort of figure that out. It could be a flat fee, could be a percentage, could be a percentage based on what the host wants to give, from 0 up to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just to like spitball some numbers out there, like I think you have to choose favorable numbers, heuristically, staunchly disagree with, because it's pretty fair. Like 80-20, and there's like everyone's familiar with the 80-20 rule. The host or the talent on the show keeps 80%, and then we have to come up with what to do with the.
It sounds like you're ordering food on Wayne's World.
Will is advocating a 20% tax rate.
I think we should do it in the spirit of Bitcoin and let the broadcaster decide how much he wants to give. Because I mean, you guys are fair. You're going to remain fair, and if you're not fair and you give nothing for a long time, you might not be asked to put your stuff on the network anymore.
Right. So this could play into kind of the reputation system, because it's all transparent,
It's exactly the same way the fees work. Like you said, I think you nailed it when you said it's basically just the fees. It is just that. It's the fee system repurposed, which is the core of Bitcoin. It sticks nicely with the ethos of how the currency works.
Yeah. One of the main points of Bitcoin is decentralization, and with decentralization, one of the most natural factors to come from that, one of the most obvious consequences of decentralization is a resurgence of reputation systems, reputation coming back, and we've really lost that so much that we are maybe trying to solve problems that Bitcoin will naturally help us deal with a little bit more.
Already, let's just use it. I think so. I think that's the method. Being a programmer, I would say that, though. That's what I do.
I agree.
Cool. We've had another link here from OpB, which I'm just going to load up. Rebel was saying that he demands 10%. I think that's just for him. He just wants 10%. Tithe. What does tithe mean? I need to know.
Tithe, that's the religious. In the Bible, they gave 10% to the church.
Right.
The tithents.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So, okay. So actually, OpB is bringing up a good point. We talked about this in the Bitcoin talk show. So YouTube, we should just be aware that we don't want to get too dependent on YouTube, just because they're bringing in their own donation, and people are speculating that they could end up stopping people from fundraising in Bitcoin, because obviously, if we're soliciting funds in Bitcoin via our QR links in our video, or putting the blockchain, address down in the description, that's going to directly compete with their new tipping model that they're introducing.
Oh, yeah, I very much agree. I think that anything that can go wrong will go wrong when you get into the giant centralized systems that are emerging out of the internet, moving into the age of information. So I think that that's a really, really good point, that they're probably going to do something to throw a spanner in the works there.
Yeah. Oh, actually, but I think Oppie is what he's saying is that we could also use this as a
Yeah, you
revenue stream.
absolutely use it. Yeah, I mean, I would say I still have faith in Google, as I was saying to you today, Chris. I think they'll end up doing the right thing. They're taking the time getting there, but I think they'll still embrace crypto in a big way eventually. And they're just, I haven't got much faith in much big companies, but I haven't lost my faith in Google yet.
Hmm.
Well, and to block QR codes or to block addresses would be really draconian and unenforceable. So I think they just ignore it and continue improving their own solution.
I don't know. I agree and disagree because with a QR code, you have something that's really easy to spot with like a robotic eye, or with a scanner, you have the light and the dark and things like that. And it wouldn't be, I guess, that unimaginable to go through and look at frames and to find those and then just take the whole video down. I mean, with the
Programming to do it, but I don't think they will. I think they'll end up embracing direct payments to contributors at some point because it's in their interest, because it increases their views, which increases their ads, which is their money revenue.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that in the end, they are for empowering the content users. They're for profit, but I think they're a little bit more than that. Google, I feel, I hope anyway. They may prove me wrong, but I still have faith in them.
Yeah, it's worth bearing in mind for sure, and we should definitely look at other live streaming alternatives so that
absolutely.
Yeah, so that we've got some alternatives just in case. Because we might get blocked for other reasons.
A real quick thought: do we have everything backed up in a place other than YouTube for right now? I mean, do we need any space to be able to do that?
Tom, I download some of my episodes.
We talked about that as an option last week. I think the other Chris was gonna do a torrent eventually, but right now we don't have that and we have the audio is kind of a backup. We have the audio on SoundCloud and it's on iTunes. So in that way, but that's not up to date because I just got back and it's rarely up to date.
So in which case, yeah, we need to get on it. I need to get on it. Also, Ralph the Ninja Magnus said that he could help us out with the torrent. So I guess I can just download the videos and just create some torrent files out of them. I just wasn't sure, like I didn't know what to put in the README file, and I was kind of.
I mean, just as a technical issue, and maybe there is an easy way to do this. I'm not sure how to create individual torrent files for each file. If we wanted to take like the last 6 months, make that a large torrent file, I think that would work. The individual one seems to be there's a technical issue.
No, it's okay. You can just go like into. I think Derek's point was, I suppose so. Well, Derek said we should do one for each show, but you're right. Actually, it would make more sense if we just did them in batches, just for the backup purposes.
If that's what it's for. If it's a distribution channel, you want them individual. I mean, it's another step. It's another.
Are we talking distribution or disaster recovery? Are we talking archive for future generations? Or are we talking the ability to disseminate it throughout the world? I think both are needed. And I think if you want to just back up all your videos, we can put them on one of our S3 boxes and just lock them up in Google, encrypt them, put them away. Then you have your disaster recovery. If you want to do that, we've got tons and tons of space. We'll dump them in one of them, put them in the Amazon's Glacier, and just lock it away forever. Cost pennies a month.
That's cool. Yeah.
But that's not for distribution. That's just for an archive, so you've got it in case anything horrible goes wrong.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
We can do that. We can build it in the website. As soon as something's broadcast, we can pack it up, zip it up, and slap it
in which case, then, I guess I should just download the episodes and come over to yours then, Chris, because if you're right there.
Yeah, we'll do that at the start, but then I'm a big fan of automating stuff, so we'll get it so it's just a part of the process. As soon as you hit stop, packs it up and sends it to Glacier. Now torrent is for the distribution, so that we have alternative ways to watch the videos. That's different as well. I think both are.
What would be really cool on the website eventually is if after you do an episode, it creates the magnetic link automatically, and then you can start hosting it on a torrent.
Yeah, there's no reason why we can't do that. Absolutely. So we'll just be hand cranking a lot of it, and then we'll look at the pain points and automate them away. That's the goal of the website. That's the iterations we'll do.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought it'd be cool if it made MP3s too for people to download for their iPods or whatever.
You can definitely do that. The website I showed Chris area, Vidrio, and code it into every format imaginable for you in one pass and give you one unified URL. We can do that. There's lots of options. This has been solved many times by a lot of companies. We just have to use the best one, the one that's fit for purpose.
Right now, we just have a manual system for the MP3s where I download them, convert them, and then upload them to SoundCloud, and it also goes to iTunes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good. The SoundCloud thing. I mean, we're paid up for another 3 or 4 months, and then that just hosts them. iTunes goes to them. I mean, the updating is a bit of a pain. Other than that, it seems to work.
So Tom, once the website's built, I'll work with you and we'll automate that away. We'll make that a task that just happens, and it will save you a bit more time. That's the way I love to work. We get the humans to do it first, and then we automate it. Anything that takes more than an hour, we find a way to automate it.
Sounds
and
good.
that's something that the donations to the network can pay for, those subscriptions to
absolutely.
pay for SoundCloud and pay for your iTunes subscription and that stuff too.
As a quick note, since you're discussing the websites and the subscriptions again, is there any way that you can integrate the Coinbase API as ChangeTip has done?
We can. I'm very familiar with it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Great, because they have a really great caching off your, topping off your balance mechanism. And if you could have a profile on the website in which it had its own balance, and then you could set up an automated change tip within the website that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good idea. That's another great idea. Yep.
Because people really do like to have their names associated with their donations, and there's just no really good way to automate that except through Coinbase. But then, unless you do a signature or something, they never know it was from you.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't check those signatures.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a really good idea, and I mean, I'm using as many APIs as possible. I hate reinventing the wheel. If it's already done, we'll use it and integrate with it. But yeah, that's a good idea.
Very good. I've been timestamping that as well as you were speaking, Dustin. That's a good idea as well. So we have a comment from DD Scout 23, who's just curious about something we talked about earlier. Why would a big fish with a large audience, what would they get from sponsoring us? What can we offer them? And I think really we're looking for a benevolent kind of funder, aren't we? We're just looking for somebody who's just someone like Bitcoin.
Well,
Jesus.
I think he's talking about a show type person. So someone that's more popular than us joining us. We don't have. I don't think we have that much. It's kind of more like a paternalistic thing. They would be helping us out. We would be in their debt. They like what we're doing. They want us to spread more. We like what they're doing. Like the mutual success is, I think, what we're offering. I know it doesn't sound like much. I'm not sure we have much monetarily to offer.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Should we move on? Very well then. Okay, so now the other things were a bit kind of admin-y. So we talked about the new website, WCN Beta Show. So Jamie has introduced the beta format that we tried out on Tuesday about the same time as Chris Before Coffee is on a Wednesday, which is 3 p.m. UTC. And for anyone who's a beginner in Hangouts, they can just come on the show and use it as kind of training wheels to get confident in like handling all the controls and stuff. So if one of us more experienced folk could make ourselves available during that time, we can just kind of maybe set up the show for them, or maybe encourage them to do it, and then just kind of be with them when anything kind of goes wrong. Do we like that time? Is that a good time, or is that too prime time? Should we push that to a different slot? And suggestions, thoughts.
You changed the time. I had it set for 4 o'clock.
Oh, sorry. I get confused. These time zones are doing my head in. I don't know what UTC.
I set it for 4 o'clock, but I don't know how we got between 3 and 4 o'clock. I think it was the difference between London time and UTC.
Yeah, so that kind of time format. What do we think of that idea, everyone?
And I'm planning on pretty much being there in the beginning now, until the show gets rolling and we have some people that want to, until we start getting backed up at least.
I think it's an okay idea, but it needs scheduling. You need to schedule these groups of people that want shows and then bring them in and then kind of, I don't know, try them out. I'm not sure what you're doing, what the goal is.
So I think the goal at the moment is just to kind of help people build that confidence. So at the moment, obviously we've got Jamie, Theo. Also, you suggested that you wanted to maybe get a show. Also, Ksenia has said that she wants to get into podcasting as well. So I think we've probably got enough of a backlog at the moment to sort of schedule that slot. So it would just be a question.
Should we have like some kind of a format or a guide where maybe people could script like a 15-minute or a 5-minute show? Because I also think we should be trying to go for some shorter shows. Like we're going for a lot of really long shows. If anyone wants to do 5 minutes like a news or 5 minutes like a topic, like in and out kind of, you know, we're doing a lot of heavy stuff.
Well, I think
I'm just gonna record something, and then if people like it, then they can like it, or I'll just get feedback. I don't think I want to go on the.
That's another good idea. Is people could bring pre-recorded shows to this show.
We were talking about that.
I'm going to do it.
The scripted stuff seems pre-recorded.
I'm just not going to tell anyone that it's live, and I'm just going to record it. And if there's some real big fuck up, then I'll just edit it out, and then everyone can watch it. And then later, I can go from there if I really feel like editing it or whatever. But I think a shorter one, like you said, not like 2 hours or whatever. 2 hours is pretty hard.
And remember that people can imitate whatever style of show they want to do. Pick the person you like, pick the format, sports, news, weather, whatever you're going to imitate.
You want to do sports? We're talking about doing sports and weather, too?
Well, I've always thought that the way they report on sports and weather is incredibly honest. So
okay, the way. Okay.
A statistic-based analysis of Bitcoin, there's 100% honesty there. You could just tell them the stats. You're reading the chart.
The weather on the blockchain is pretty stormy.
Yeah, right. That's what I was saying. Yeah, right.
Well, and weather's a great. You know, you start out with a wider look. What's going on the whole blockchain? What's going on in your neck of the blockchain? You know, like the individual, like, oh, and in Detroit, and just any of these things, pick them up. Your short format stuff. We could really fill a lot of space there.
Well, yeah, actually, you know what? Actually, that's not a bad idea. We could actually do the distribution of nodes and how they're like, oh, it's really European at the moment. I don't like the number of nodes popping up in Germany. Germany's got way too much control.
Well, and as soon as you start a show that tracks something, like if you look at Christoph's show, Dark News, he does these great dark markets, and he put a marker down when he started his show. This is the price then. And since then, he's been tracking percentage gain, and he'll be like, this has gone 50% down since we started tracking it. Once you put a marker like that in the sand, like I was talking to Nick, I was promoting a show for him about downloading the blockchain. And as soon as he starts doing a download the blockchain show, we can say there's been a 20% increase since the show started, like, and we could claim that as well, you know, correlation. But.
Very good. I should just add here, Opby is really nailing it. Apparently, BitTorrent client integrates Bitcoin donations. So this is FrostWire. Apparently, is integrating Bitcoin donations. So how about, all I was thinking was, you know, with Jamie's idea, if you've got like, I think because also, Jamie, originally you brought up the idea that we could have a slot where people could just learn how to use the Hangout. So it's more of like a technical thing. But then the question is, do we want to do that on a separate channel so that it doesn't sort of, you know, dilute the quality of the stuff that we've got on the main channel? How do we feel about that? And like also we could use voting on the blockchain, so if people really like it, they could, you know, send a tip to a certain address.
I like the idea of adding how-tos for the Google Hangouts as long as they're brief. Maybe like the beta show itself, I don't know what the format is, but I think it needs a format. So maybe if the opening is like 5 minutes, how to use Hangouts, then there's like 10 minutes, this is a new show that's been pre-recorded or we've worked it out before, and then maybe 5 minutes in, someone wants to come on from the audience and like maybe chat or do a show. You have a couple topics you want to talk about, but it needs that format so that you know that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and when it's time to end the show, you end the show, because it's just, I just don't know, the last one was like an hour and 55 minutes, and I made it through half an hour, and that, that's a lot, but there's a lot of show there, and if you're going to be doing that every week, the shorter is, we can get in and get out.
Yeah, so I guess people would have to bring up their show format up on the Podio, and they would have to say, like, okay, this is my show format. We'd spend the first 5 minutes going through the controls, and then it would be up to them to kind of take it forward from that. But to
think about bits, like doing the controls is a good bit because you can do one control a week. And even if it seems really simple, and that's your bit. You're just going to do it. Like this is this screen share as a screen share button, and that's it. People, maybe it's not interesting in them, but as long as it's short and it moves on to the next thing, and we just keep things moving, they might watch it. They might get something out of it, and that's the goal, I think. So.
Yeah, I like that. And I can think about that some more over the weekend too, and try and flesh that out, and maybe come up with a better script for doing that.
And definitely watch like Christoph's show and the other shows. They do the little prices. And he does a main show, and
yeah, slots. We need to think more. Like all of us, I think, need to think about slots. Like, okay, so yeah, I'm thinking more about that for my show as well, like developer watch and all that stuff.
Because it gives you something you can go back to. Yeah. If you look at the like David Letterman show is all out of control and crazy, but when you really look at it, it's like mailbags on Monday, pet tricks on Tuesday, wacky Wednesday. I mean, he does the same stuff every week.
I'm sorry. What's the little puppet show again? What's the name of it?
This Week in Cryptos.
Yeah, he does that. That's what, or he or she or whatever. That's what it does great. It's just like, what is it, like ATM alert, ban hammer. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like about 10 or 12 things, and they just come, bam, one after another, and they're all really short, but they're all really good.
Absolutely. He does a great job with the segments. Mad Potcoins has segments too on his show, and again, just it gives you something to go back to. I mean, Mad Bitcoins is clearly very segmented, it's very controlled. So just ideas.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice, Tom.
Cool. All right, moving on. And
I do have one point to add to the schedule from Nick. We're talking about these lower third things. We should try, and again, maybe this becomes a graphic design issue with Chris, is maybe to standardize them all so that they all look the same. We're probably going to go with something like what Chris has with the QR code up in the corner there, but we should work out what the size should be, what the color should be down here if we're going to add extra logos, World Crypto, and it's not that hard. Again, this goes back to we need a centralized list of everyone's donation addresses so that the graphic designer could just pull from those, make QR codes as necessary, and then double check them all, make sure they're all good, and then give them out to people, email them, keep them in a central location, and then have the ability to edit that template and make more if we have new guests. Because the old system I thought was good because it's Google and it's easy, it's built in. The new system is better. We can have the QR code donations, but it's also worse because then we all look different in the sizes. So it's confusing to watch. So just an idea.
I agree with all of that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Lower third standardization. I don't know if you want to add that to the outline or the podium or whatever.
I can do, yeah. Let's do that now.
Nick also says that the average YouTuber only watches about 3 minutes of a video. So
yeah, but we don't want those types anyway.
Well, we have to keep in mind the first minute of whatever we do, it better be pretty exciting, or people are going to go. So that's why they have all that summary.
I always make my opening remarks exciting, and if they don't like that, then they can sod off. I don't care.
That's the way to do it.
I think is the key. You should all enter to an explosion.
Yeah, no, that's why I like to
into the screen.
I like to start with big pictures of Taylor Swift spouting techno philosophy. That's how I roll.
That was great. That account keeps getting better and better. It's great work.
Okay, so yes, YouTube managers and social media managers. Can we start adding more people? Can we prune the existing YouTube managers because we've got people on there from ages ago that aren't showing up anymore? Can we add Jamie to the YouTube managers? Can we add whoever else needs to be added? Theo, I guess, or whoever.
I can do that.
Cool. And also social media. So I've got a Hootsuite account. It has been a pro account before. It's not a pro account at the moment because, there's money in that. But if we make that pro, then lots of people can join as a team, and then lots of people can tweet from World Crypto Network. But what do we want to do? Does anyone want to? I suppose there aren't that many of us here today, so this is more a question for everyone on a group email.
I can tweet whatever, I can help tweet stuff.
And then also we're going to need guidelines for that, what to say, what not to say.
Don't say shit or fuck or something like that.
Oh, no, you can say that. I'm thinking just don't be polite.
Okay, yeah, I know. Don't like troll people or whatever from the World
Right.
Crypto. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless it's Mark Carpellis, in which case
Don't
I did
promote scam coins or something.
No,
like that.
I did actually troll Mark Carpellis the other day. I tweeted out
Really?
something.
From the okay.
So you can definitely troll at scammers, but don't troll
Okay.
like good people, like Charlie Schramm or something.
Okay.
Dustin.
On that note, Chris, I think security is. We mentioned it briefly. The way you guys are going, you're going to make enemies, you're going to make friends.
It's true.
You need to be secure. Security is going to, at some amount of time, you're going to get hacked or you're going to get attacked. So we need to do the basics of security. We need to make sure all your domains are behind Cloudflare. A bunch of other little things that you can do that just really make you as a harder target as possible. Because eventually someone's going to come after you, even if it's just because they want to for that day. They take the WCM because you've got a few thousand viewers and decide to attack you, endorse you, and stuff like that. You know, eventually someone will do something like that to you. So it's better to be prepared for it ahead of time.
I like that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then Dustin from Twitter is saying during long shows when you have a lot of people, it would be fun to do a news roundup at the end. Of everything that has happened since the show started. Yeah, I love that because sometimes the shows go on so long there's breaking news during the show. Like the stuff has changed.
That's also a good chance for the behind-the-scenes people that we're talking about. If someone was writing up those news summaries, giving you the headlines, a little paragraph, the headlines and paragraph, feeding that to you, that's going to make it easier for the host.
So what you're talking about there, Tom, is a news desk. We need a World Crypto Network news desk.
They could update the Twitter and the other live type things we're talking about as well if we want to get more of that going.
So Jamie Richens is saying he likes the 2-hour shows before they all become short, by the way. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? It's just some of them you want to be quite short and concise. Sometimes you like it when it goes on for a while. I haven't noticed anyone tuning out. Like I did the Chris Before Coffee, I still had 40 viewers at the end. You know, the same people that started it.
Yep, I think naturally you're falling into a nice groove. The long shows are your live hangouts, and your short shows are your scripted ones. Yep. That's just the way you've naturally went, and that just works. Continue along that path.
That's because we do those long ones during people's nap time.
Yeah, we somehow
still
made
works.
it work.
Still valid to keep doing it.
Also, Dustin is saying everyone needs to use the same hashtags for topics covered when announced live shows so you can tweet and join the current conversation. So, yeah, that'd be quite cool.
We should also probably work on a couple of, I don't know where to store these, but maybe in a spreadsheet somewhere, but like a list of Twitter tags to add to your tweet. Like if people add at Mad Bitcoins to the end of their tweet, I see it, I can retweet it. So if we had like a at Mad, at Chris, at Jamie, just a short list, whatever we're going to do to try to increase our spread.
Well, as in a script to hand out to your broadcasters or have on your website, or in what way?
Even just a Mad Bitcoins, like some kind of generic email responses. So I was thinking kind of a generic Twitter things to put after your tweet, like to just mention at Mad Bitcoins.
So to append or prepend certain things.
Yep. Yeah. To have a list of like different appends where it's like I want to spread this to our meetup guys, so it would go to Will and it would go to Joe and Fred. And I want to spread this to our tech guys, so it would go to Christoph and it would go to Andreas and someone else, like that kind of.
So it's like the Gmail, in case you forget someone, did you mean to add type feature. You could do it like that, couldn't you?
Yeah, like that, and just like a signature, a generic thing, a thing to be added after your tweet. So if you're going to do an article and a link, you do article, link, and plus 3 people, and then they could retweet your thing. That kind of idea.
Yeah, we could build that straight in. We could tweet from our platform and build it straight in. Obviously, if you used any other platform, it would be up to you to append it. But if you use our website, we could build functionality of that straight in to do it.
That sounds good. And it could even do it multiple times to different groups of people, multiple tweets.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah. Could send it at various times because tweets get lost in people's streams. So you could say send it 10 times over the day. Got to be careful with that though, because Twitter doesn't like it.
Yeah, that's
that
another
much.
thing. I haven't gone to that yet, but I do think there might be a need for scheduled messages, even on my account. Just reminders, get some donations going, get some views going. It's
This
We
is
set our social stuff up weeks in advance. Yeah, we schedule it and forget it. We have a social manager who does that. She's yeah, he's always he's a week ahead of all his social posts. Everything's scheduled.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Hootsuite looks like. It's just a little plugin up at the top on the browser. So if you had access to this, you would just click on that and then, select World Crypto Network, and then you just tweet out from there. It's quite simple, really. And you can schedule it as well. And you can say, like, I want this to go out, tomorrow morning or something.
Can you say send it out every hour for 6 hours, or?
No, unfortunately, they don't allow you to do that. So I looked into that, and apparently Twitter ban you if you do that too much.
They don't. They ban you if you abuse it. It's kind of a soft thing. If you do it like 1,000 of them a day, but if you just want to get it, because Twitch disappearing people's streams, so they let you do it a fair amount of times.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's one of these, if you abuse it, yes, they'll ban you. So very careful. You have to walk the line.
Mm. Yeah. So no, Hootsuite doesn't allow you to do that. And when I asked, that's what they said.
There's one called T-Waiter. It's now called Gremlin, and that might let you do a scheduled tweet like every hour or every couple days. I used to use something like that for Twitter. So.
Cool.
Marnie uses something called Community IT. I downloaded
that might
the
be good.
other day.
Marnie's really onto it with Podio. It seems like there's a lot of cool stuff we can do on there. So
Yeah,
I downloaded that Twitter thing that she uses yesterday, and it was just way too complicated for what I was using it for. So that may be something that we want to talk to Marnie about.
Sure.
Sounds good. Yeah, she's been really on it. Okay. Well, that's it. That's all the agenda. So how many of us are there left? Well, we've lost a few. We had a few casualties, haven't we?
Doesn't seem to be any questions. Anyone have any questions at home? You could submit them now.
Tom, can I just add one thing to address your point where you said, what have you got to offer other broadcasters who come to your network? I think you have got a lot to offer. This process is worth something. What you're building here is tangible. It's a thing, and if it's done right, it's potentially a new way of broadcasting, and that's worth something. That's worth a lot. People will come on board just to learn this way of doing this. You will attract the right mindset who sees what you're doing and they want to figure out the process. Don't discount that. That's worth something.
It's just hard. A lot of the people around me are pressuring me to convert my time into dollars and cents, and I'm doing a lot with the video and stuff, which I think is valuable, and I think it has an effect and a change on society, which I think is more important than dollars and cents. But at the same time, I have those dollar and cent concerns. So
absolutely, I get that. But this, what you're building, is tangible. It's worth something, and if you get it right, it could potentially be worth a lot.
Well, I don't really want to sell it, but I just need enough to live on. So
I don't mean like that. I mean just for an information to teach other people how to do it. I don't really attribute monetary to everything, but it's just when it's worth a lot. It could be financial information. It could be worth a lot as a new way of broadcasting. It could be a new paradigm in broadcasting. It's different. It's changing. It could execute really well, and if we iterate and go down the path we're doing, it has real value.
I'm excited about this paradigm. I always used to tell people that we were going to make like YouTube niche videos for like plumbers, like videos that plumbers would be interested in. But Bitcoiners are way more interesting than plumbers, and they have the ability to donate to us if they want to try out the new currency. It's kind of fun. I think it has a lot of potential. So.
And like Jamie was saying, videos to teach people how to make videos is never seen it done before, really. It's really interesting. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, and I mean, look at like this Twitch TV. They started a whole new brand of broadcasting.
Absolutely.
They built up. I would have never. I mean, we just found out about that a couple weeks ago, and we're like, "What? People are paying to watch other people play video games?" That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
and if Roger Ver is watching, you
Out to do
know,
that.
Roger Ver is more than welcome to send in a donation if he chooses to. That's very welcome to do that.
Well, and it's all about you know, morality of like if we're the kind of people that he'd like to see keep doing shows, and if this is the kind of media that you want, donate to this network. That's what we're looking for. I think he's that kind of person too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roger Ver, I know he's an anarchist or voluntarist.
That's the nice way of saying anarchist.
It's the same thing.
Okay, so is that town hall meeting number 5? I can always make myself available over the next few days if anyone is watching this recorded but thinks that, oh, I wish I'd had some say over that. Of course, you absolutely can. That's the whole point. You don't have to turn up to every single town hall, but it's, yeah, we can be around, do another show. So, it is block height. What have we ended on? 319,135. It's 27 minutes old. It's quite an old block, I guess, as blocks go. So thanks very much for tuning in. This has been the World Crypto Network Town Hall Meeting number 5, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget to have your say in the comments below. We're always on like 24/7 or something. Bye.
All right.